Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Friday, April 4th, 2014. I'm KAHLIL with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is said to be in a good position with sound economic fundamentals to deal with the recovery of the December 24th, 2013 disaster. Making his contribution to the debate in favor of the passage of the $83.9 million supplementary budget estimates, economist and government Senator Browne describes as untrue the claim made by opposition Senator Dr. Linton Lewis that over the 17 years the New Democratic Party spent in government, SVG experienced an average growth rate of 5%. Browne argues that SVG is now in its best economic position since gaining independence.
Must have been in some dreamland somewhere. And the fact is that during the life of the NDP administration, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, across the entire life, the 17 years of the NDP administration, St. Vincent and the Grenadines had the second lowest rate of economic growth among the independent countries in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Second to last, the only country that was after us, and this is in the 17-year period, the only country that was after us was Dominica. And now, look at how things have turned around dramatically. In the 13 years of the Unity Labour Party administration, St. Vincent and the Grenadines now has the highest rate of economic growth in the independent Eastern Caribbean Currency Union countries. So don't come to Parliament and say that we're not in a position to recover from a disaster because our economy is in bad shape. Because our economy is in as good a shape as it has ever been since independence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
As of next Monday, some consumers of brown sugar will pay a lower retail price for the commodity by a maximum of 12 cents. Wrapping up the debate on the supplementary budget estimates of 2014, Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves said he will be issuing the directive to the Director General of Finance and Planning, who is also the chairman of the board at the Input Warehouse. The Prime Minister said that the capital city Kingstown will see a reduction of 12 cents, while in the Grenadines there will be a minimal reduction.
Reduce the retail price of brown sugar in Area 1, which is around the Kingstown area, from $1.40 a pound to $1.28 a pound. Reduce it by 12 cents a pound. The maximum retail price in Area 2 would reduce from $1.43 per pound to $1.32 per pound. The maximum retail price for Area 3 would go from $1.47 per pound to $1.37 per pound. And the Grenadine price would be reduced to $1.45 as Area 4, $1.45 per pound.
Prime Minister Gonsalves added that subsidies will be given on fertilizers and other agricultural products. He said that as a result of profits made from sugar, they are now able to keep the price of fertilizer at a lower cost than many other Caribbean countries.
We continue to subsidize fertilizer. We subsidize the NPK fertilizer, we subsidize blue diotene through the Input Warehouse, the state-owned company. And we do so with profits from sugar. And even when the margin gets very tight for us at the Input Warehouse, we still give the subsidy to such an extent where a sack of fertilizer in other OECS countries would cost $120, $125, $130. It costs only $100 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The $20+ million allocated in the 2014 supplementary budget will not only facilitate reconstruction work following the December 24th trough system, but also residuals from Hurricane Thomas and the April flash floods. Yesterday, Housing Minister Montgomery told Parliament that of the 662 houses damaged during the December trough system, 80 are to be rebuilt on-site and 42 are to be relocated. Daniel further explains that $2 million has been allocated to Thomas repairs, with $1.1 million to the April floods.
I've heard from the opposition benches that names not on the list. But I want to say to you, when the project was developed, it was developed with the information that was gathered. Mr. Speaker, I have in my hand a copy of the document that was used to develop a cabinet memo to give us the funding for the project. I gave you the details in terms of the numbers, and so it is from this the Ministry of Transport and Works and NEMO was able to give us a total figure to work with.
The Housing Minister further explains that on February 18th, actual construction work commenced for the rebuilding of the damaged homes, and to date, a total of 403 persons have benefited from the material distribution program.
We are doing 2 houses in Fancy. At Langley Park, we are doing 6 houses there. At South Rivers, we are doing 8 houses. 7 of it is from the December floods, and 1 is basically from Thomas. So we are doing 8 houses there. At Fitzhughes, we are doing 7 houses, 6 from the December floods, and 1 from Thomas. At Cumberland, we are doing 8 houses. Yes, that is 1 it included, 6 and 1. So that at the moment, 8. At the moment, we are really doing 33 houses, and each unit has a workforce of 10 persons.
Opposition Senator Vynette Frederick says she believes there would have been more widespread death and destruction during the December 2013 trough system had Vincentians not been preoccupied with their Christmas traditions. Speaking in Parliament yesterday, the opposition senator highlighted that most Vincentians wait until Christmas Eve to get their houses in order. As a result, the December 24th trough system that hit the island was met by persons who were awake and alert.
Thank God that for Vincentians, Christmas means so much that I sleep in Christmas Eve. I am closing my eyes Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is the time to put house in order and to do the little clean out and the fix up. Thank God we are this way, because people were alert. Why? Because they were awake, celebrating the way we celebrate Christmas. Death and destruction may have been more widespread had we not been a people for whom Christmas is so important.
This country's Chief Magistrate Sonia Young, who was at the helm of the magistracy for several years at the Kingstown Serious Offences Court, spent her last day on the job this morning. Her next stint will be as a judge in the Central American country of Belize, which she is expected to commence at the conclusion of her vacation leave at the end of June 2014. Young has a wealth of knowledge and experience, having worked here as a deputy registrar, a magistrate in Tortola, and a registrar at the headquarters of the Caribbean Supreme Court in St. Lucia. She has been described by her legal colleagues as a serious adjudicator, but is otherwise of a quiet disposition. And after months of investigation, the police have made a breakthrough in the daylight robbery outside the post office building in Kingstown, where the perpetrator shot a police officer and made off with over $100,000 in cash. SVG-TV has been reliably informed that the alleged perpetrator is now in police custody and charges will soon be brought against him. Former footballer Dwayne Sandy was deemed a wanted man and arrested several times in connection with the incident, which occurred in June. However, no formal charges were ever brought against Sandy. Through his lawyer, Grant Connell, he sought an apology from the police department, stating that their action had affected him seriously. The police responded that the request was forwarded to the Attorney General for consideration, but it is not clear as to whether or not he ever got the apology. 1,000 affected farmers are expected to benefit from the Ministry of Agriculture through the Food and Agriculture Organization's Farmers Support Project of 320,000 US dollars. Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar made the announcement in Parliament while responding to a question posed by MP for Central Kingstown Sinclair Leacock. Caesar says the assistance is expected to impact the livelihoods of a number of farmers.
It was noted by the Honorable Prime Minister in his address that no one expects all the problems being faced by the farmers to be covered by the $800,000. But this definitely will assist in the process. Mr. Speaker, in the report from the FAO, the $800,000 is to be expended in the following way. 1, for the assistance with agriculture inputs, vegetable seeds, planting materials, fertilizer, to be distributed to 350 small-scale selected crop farmers.
He noted that the farmers who will benefit from the project were selected by the FAO and the staff of the Ministry of Agriculture.
And the project will be implemented by AICA, and they have already signed on to that, and the process will begin soon. So not only agriculture inputs, but assistance is in the 800,000 for the control of black sigatoka, 20,000 baby chicks and animal feed to be distributed to 200 affected poultry farmers. 4, support provided to the restoration of the sole hatchery in the country. We have to ensure that we fix the hatchery first, because if you don't fix the hatchery, then if you have a good pen, Mr. Speaker, you have all the feed and you don't have any chicks, then you're still not in business. So we have to fix the hatchery first, and from there we flow the assistance to the farmers.
Several farmers here are already benefiting from government's farmer support program to the tune of $6 million under the Petro-Caribbean agreement. Meanwhile, the Agriculture Minister says that over the next 2 to 3 months, the production from the sole hatchery here will be targeting those affected by the December 2013 disaster.
So I know that I'm going to hear very soon that someone would have turned up to the hatchery to purchase, and they were not affected. They have their monies, they want chicks, but all the chicks were allocated to persons from the natural disaster. And we want to ensure that those persons in the private sector, that they can use this as an opportunity, as the Honourable Member for Central Kingston would have said, to get into the business of selling chicks. The ministry will work with you to source these very easily and ensure that the requisite framework for the importation is in place.
Still in agriculture, MP for North Leeward Roland Patel Matthews told Parliament that the allocation in the budget for agriculture is insufficient. Matthews, who is the opposition spokesperson for agriculture, says while the allocation is a start, there are some persons whose livelihoods are based primarily on farming, and since the disaster in December to now, nothing has happened for them.
Mr. Speaker, I am hoping, let me use the minister's word, in the not too distant future, very soon, and as soon as last week, Mr. Speaker, something must be done for these people. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, how are these people surviving? You know, you're depending, for example, I haven't seen any provision specifically for fishermen, for example, in the supplementary estimate. These are fishermen in Leeward coast. A lot of them have lost their seine, their engine, their boat, their fishing equipment, everything. And fishing was their livelihood. What are they doing between December 23rd and today? What are they doing? How are they making it? How are their family eating? Yes, nothing might have happened to the house, so they do not qualify to get the little supply that they get. But nothing have happened to the house. But they have a boat that they depend, they have a seine. So, and there is no provision in the preliminary estimate to deal with the fisher folks.
Matthews noted that while he sees the goodies in the budget estimates, he is more concerned with the assistance given to the affected families in the recent disaster.
It's important. It is important for me to be representing the constituency that has been mostly affected. And where people are asking me on a daily basis what is happening, when are we going to get this? The people from the fisheries come to me. I have given them all the information. I am still waiting. I know from the estimate of 2014 that the budget that we passed, there are some provision in it for fishing. I know that. But this is different because when that estimate was made, these fishermen had their boats, had their engine, had their seine, had their nets, had their hooks, their line, everything they had. So the provision we made then take all this into consideration. So now we have a major loss because of the flood. Nothing is here to show, Mr. Speaker, that the fisher folks will be targeted, that the fisher folks will be getting some assistance.
The Forestry Department is appealing to the general public not to use hazardous or poisonous substances to fish in rivers, streams, and other waterways. In a media release by the department, it warned that these substances that kill or stuns animals are also harmful to those who eat the captured wildlife. The Forestry Department further outlines that poisoning of rivers and streams is illegal, and any person caught doing so is guilty of an open offense and liable to a fine of $2,000 and imprisonment for 6 months under the Wildlife Protection Act. Minister of the People's Power of Foreign Affairs of the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela, Elias Milano, paid a visit here earlier this week. While in the state, Minister Milano made courtesy calls on Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and the cabinet, during which time they discussed the bilateral agreements between both countries, among other matters. Minister Milano was accompanied by a 9-member delegation. After their meeting, the Venezuelan delegation was taken on a tour of the Argyle International Airport by the Prime Minister.